Hello world, it's Birdo Prey 5, Qapla, and welcome to my series review of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which just concluded on Disney Plus. Yes, there are spoilers in case you weren't sure, in case I didn't make it abundantly clear. Spoiler alerts, I'm going to spoil everything, so do not watch if you don't want to know what happens. Hint, it's shit. Shit. It's all shit. I had some hopes, okay? You guys know. Let me back up. I am a casual Marvel fan. I never read the comic books. I never had real comic books as a kid, except Garfield. And for some reason, Garfield doesn't count, even though he's clearly a comic in a book, which is a comic book, but whatever, because he's not drawn by Stan Lee or whatever, he doesn't count. Fine. I'll accept that. My Garfield comics give me no cred. Zero cred in the comic book circles. I take it. I get it. I'll give it to you. Fine. Also, Far Side. I used to read Far Side. Comics. They're called comics, but they don't count. Newspaper comics, they don't count either. Why? You know what? Fine. Fine. You want to be your comic book people who maybe owned a comic book store at one time in your life, or you had hundreds or thousands of comic books, and maybe you still do somewhere in your house, or your mom threw them out, and you would have been a millionaire if she had kept them. I get it. I'm not one of you people. Okay? The first thing I knew about Marvel is when I saw Iron Man, the movie. That's how I came into Marvel. I didn't even know there was a Marvel universe for like 5 years. Okay, so no, I haven't watched every Marvel movie. I'm pretty sure I haven't. I'm slowly filling in after Infinity War and Endgame and WandaVision. I'm filling in my Marvel Cinematic Universe experience. So The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is the actual title of the series. I was pretty interested. I had never heard of, well, I'd heard of it, but the Zemo and Bucky and Sokovia, those were interesting things, and the backstories, and Falcon, who honestly, all I knew from him was from the movies. And, obviously we all saw Captain America. Did he die or pass away or just get old? And I'm not sure I'm happy with what happened to Captain America in Endgame. In fact, I'm more sure I'm not happy. In fact, this series actually makes Endgame all the worse because it reinforces that the 5-year blip could never have happened in this universe. This is not a world. Our world would have just died. We would have died. We would have been in anarchy and warlords had 50% of the population disappeared overnight. And then if 50% of the population just came back, everybody would have died. Everybody would have died. So this is a fantasy beyond fantasy. What does this have to do with everything? Well, the entire premise of this show is because 50% of the people got blipped away when Thanos snapped his fingers, and then apparently the world went kind of kumbaya, and like, all these big countries that all the poor people were trying to get into, all of a sudden had a whole lot of empty room. So they let all the people from the, third world countries in, and they're like, we have some semblance of normalcy. They don't say, well, what happened to all those poor countries, they just vanish off the map? Apparently they did. Everybody left, and there's nobody in half the world anymore. So all these people came in, and then they started making lives and assimilating into their new world. Where there were just mansions and cars and fancy cars and electronics to just give away to reallocate to the entire world. And the people moved in, and then, oh shit, 5 years later, somebody blips back and there's somebody sleeping in their bed. And so the world steps in and says, oh, we're going to resettle all the people who we let in. And now we got to resettle them back to their old countries because the rich people, relatively rich, are back again. And so this teenage girl, Carly, is the head of this terrorist organization, and it is a terrorist organization, despite what they try to tell us, that wants to fight the world government sending people back to where they came from, and it's the entire inspiration for the series, and it's called One World, One People, which is an possibly admirable goal. Certainly in Star Trek, Earth is one world, one people, but we're not there yet. And throughout the series, these people, they're looked at as terrorists, but you could see that the writers really wanted them to be the heroes. And in this final episode, they make it perfectly clear. Okay? At what should be the main battle of Falcon, who is now the new Captain America. He's black, by the way. If you didn't know, Falcon's black. It's kind of a big deal for this show. Falcon, who's the new Captain America, has to fight Carly, who's a serum-enhanced super soldier, little young teenage girl. And, you're like, well, what's going to happen here? Because you're not going to see on television a big black guy beat up a little, I don't know if she's Hispanic girl, a little ethnic looking teenage girl. It's just not going to happen. So what happens? Well, for the first 5 minutes of the fight, 10 minutes of the fight, I don't know. I'm sure it wasn't that long. Falcon's just like, I'm not going to fight you. As she proceeds to kick his ass, I don't know, like a younger sister might beat up her older brother who, he knows he's too big and too strong for her. So he just lets her hit him and just takes it. And then, then he gets to a point in his life where he can't move and he's paralyzed in a hospital bed. But the sister continues to beat him up and throw things. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot where I was. So like an older brother would let a younger sister just beat on him. And he's like, I'm not going to fight you. But even though in this cinematic universe, Falcon, the big guy, he has no superpowers. He has got no serum in his blood. So he's just a human in a fancy suit. Whereas the little teenage girl has the power of the Hulk and could rip his limbs off if she wanted. Instead, for some reason, somebody slips her a gun, an old-fashioned gun at some point. As soon as they slipped it to her, I'm like, what does she need with a gun? She could pick up any object on the ground and throw it with the speed of a bullet. She doesn't need an old-fashioned gun. As soon as she took that gun, I was like, shit's, they're gonna fuck something up. And of course, what did they do? At the end of the fight, he can't fight. She takes out a gun and she aims it right at his head. And of course, he's a regular human. He's got no special protection on his head because, hey, why would you wear a helmet? I guess that would be too smart. So he's got this nice soft spot in his skull, right where a bullet can enter, where he has no protection. And she's aiming the gun right at his head. And you're like, oh shit, is this it? But no, the little, I hate this, I don't mean to be disparaging, but the little girl, the young woman, is not going to shoot the big guy right in his head, even though by all rights she would. And I'm thinking, I watch Nerdrotic. He's like, he predicted this, in that you're like, you can't have a man fight a woman on screen. You can't have a man attack a woman. You can't have a man beat a woman on screen, because those are the rules these days. And I when this fight broke out, I was like, oh shit, I guess this is going to break those rules. No. And then a minute in, he's like, I won't fight you. I was like, you cucked him, you sons of bitches. So it got extremely disappointing, but it didn't end there. It didn't end there. So how does a man defeat a woman who's about to kill him? How does it happen? Well, you just magically make the only other woman in this series just appear out of nowhere, and she shoots her 3 or 4 times. And it doesn't kill her, mind you, not immediately. Probably, maybe not at all. So it turns out, by the way, that Sharon Carter over here, she's the power broker, which I'd forgot even existed. But when they talked about her all the time, it was Sharon all along. It was Agatha all along. It was Sharon all along, and she even killed the dog. Yeah, so this is the reunion she's trying to get. She's trying to get Carly to come back with her to Nativos. It's Zenebra. I forget where they were. Some fake island somewhere or whatever. Supposed to be like Hong Kong. And yeah, so she hired somebody to spy on her. Whatever. The point is, so Sharon's got to kill Carly. But then Captain America Falcon takes Carly's body and descends like an angel carrying the body of Christ into the public, and he puts her onto a hospital gurney and into an ambulance so they can take her and go save her, possibly, the woman who was going to kill hundreds of government leaders, kill hundreds and hundreds of people, killed already hundreds of people, innocent people, doesn't give a shit about human life whatsoever. Literally the biggest terrorist I have seen in the last 2 or 3 years on screen. She doesn't give a shit, and he is carrying her body down like she is Christ, putting her to go get saved. And then he takes up her battle when the senator I just know his name is the senator, but the whole GRC, half the GRC got released somewhere else. The other half of GRC, the real fake Captain America that started this series, John Walker, he gets redeemed. John Walker does at least get some redemption in this episode. I really thought he was going to let them die and go after Carly, which I would have understood, like, okay, it kind of would make some sense. No, I gotta say, when John Walker fights Carly, if we were supposed to be, and it felt like they were trying to make us decide whose side are we on. I'll tell you whose side I was on. I was on John Walker's side the entire effing time. There was no point in this series where I really wasn't on John Walker's side. Okay, maybe for a little minute here or there, but in this episode, he's torn between saving a truck full of useless but government officials, or going after Carly, the woman who killed his friend and then said his life didn't even fucking matter. Says his life didn't even matter. But he made the right choice and he saved the useless government bureaucrats, and let Falcon, have new Captain America, go after Carly, who then decided not to fight her, who then luckily got saved because Sharon Carter had a gun too and could just shoot Carly. So yeah, John Walker gets his redemption. At the end, it's John, it's Bucky, and Falcon, new Captain America. They're all fighting. Carly gets shot. They drop in. And then what does Falcon... I keep calling him Falcon because he's been the Falcon the entire series. What does Falcon / new Black Captain America do? He goes and he talks to the senator and the GRC people. And he's like, you people got to do better. He's like, stop calling them terrorists. Because the senator says, thank you for helping with these terrorists. And he's like, they're not terrorists. He's like, and he gives a 20-minute diatribe. All I could hear was how the U.S. deserved 9/11. That's what he did. He's going to give a 20-minute diatribe, more or less, for how the U.S. deserved 9/11. He goes off and he says, you're calling these people these terrible things. They see you as terrorists. And he goes on as to basically prove that this 5-year blip couldn't possibly ever have happened. There's no way the world survives. Yeah, here, he starts it. He starts it right here. So he goes on this whole big spiel, and he says, you people in the GRC got to do better. And the Senator's like, what do you want us to do? It's a very complicated issue. And I'm like, holy shit, fuck you, Marvel, and fuck you, Disney, for making me agree with an incompetent government bureaucrat. But he's right. It is a super complicated issue. It's not just something you can magically make happen, make things go away. But Falcon's ability to comprehend the situation is barely above that of like a first grader. They want everything to be fair and nice. And yes, everybody wants everything to be fair and nice. Sure, if we could make it fair and nice, I'd love to make it fair and nice. But it's not fair. You can't in the real world make everything fair. You can't give everybody all the money. If you give everybody all the money, the economy collapses and the entire world goes to shit. There's going to be haves and have-nots. You got to make difficult choices. Now, if you wanted to be on the other side, then you should have fought with Carly. Okay? You made your choice. But now he decided that he wants to fight for the government, but now he's going to tell the government's doing everything wrong, and that he says that the US government is as powerful as Thanos. Okay? Is as powerful as Thanos with the Infinity Stones. He says you control the banks. He wants the banks basically to redistribute the wealth of the planet so that half the population that came back can live side by side with all the people who moved in when they were gone. You can't do that. This is like third grade writing. It doesn't make any sense. Now, there's some, I was kind of happy to see Isaiah get some redemption too. Isaiah gets a statue at the end. I was happy to see that he gets something out of all this. And it's Falcon. Where's his? We don't even see the sis. We don't even see Sarah till the very, very end of this episode. There she is. She's looking on. Everybody's watching TV. This is him talking down, saying they got to do better. You got to do better. Well, what? He has no plan. He just says you've got to do better with no actual plan. There is no plan. You can't just create, Shangri-La. You can't just create a happy world out of. There are limited resources, even if you control the banks. Okay, if you gave everybody in the world $1 million loan, you're not going to make everybody into a millionaire. You're not going to make everybody successful. There's a ton of people who can't do anything with that money. They don't know how to do anything. Okay, giving them money isn't going to make them decide to get an education. You give a bunch of people a lot of money, a lot of those people are going to blow it on drugs. A lot of those people are going to blow it on gambling. A lot of these people are going to blow it on addictions that they have. Are they bad people because they have addictions? No, not in most cases. But it's just the reality. You can't give this shit away and expect everything's going to go okay. This is an extremely complicated issue, and the fucking senator I'm forced to agree with was absolutely right. And Sam has no idea what he stepped into. Sam has no idea what he stepped into. Anyway, at the end, they capture all the super soldiers, and they're all being carted away to be sent to the prison, the super prison floating in the ocean somewhere. And you get this tease that the guy locking him in the transport is with them, because he says one planet, one people. And then the truck explodes, and you pan back to the old man who was Zemo's butler or whatever. And then Zemo is in prison. And why Zemo? I thought the Wakandans were going to kill Zemo. I know they said they were going to send him back to the Raft or whatever, but so he's apparently, you get TV in the Raft, so everybody's watching all this that happens, including Zemo, who has a television in his cell, and he watches, and he sees the car bomb go off. Yeah, and so Zemo gets the last laugh, as Elaine tells us later. Zemo gets the last laugh. Okay, it was a radio, not a TV. Whatever. I was actually happy. I was happy they're dead. And as Elaine says later, I'm calling her Elaine. Her name's not Elaine in this. Dreyfus's character. I forget her name. Val. Yeah, she's like, it's going to save a lot of paperwork. Yeah, it did. And we get to see who the fake Captain America is. He becomes a U.S. agent. And at the very end, Falcon / Captain America meets with Isaiah. And Isaiah, that tough, emotional Isaiah, who didn't want to hear anything about a black Captain America, all of a sudden, he saw what Sam did on television, and now he's willing to accept that, hey, there might be a place for a black Captain America after all. And then Sam says, hey, come with me. And they take him and his kid to the museum, the Captain America Museum. And all of a sudden, lo and behold, there's a statue of Isaiah off to the side of the Captain America Museum with a tablet that presumably says that, they tested the vaccine or what, not vaccine, tested the super serum on a black guy first, because if you're a racist and you are fearful of other races, the first thing you're going to do is inject the person of that race that scares you with a serum to make them 100 times stronger than you and impervious to death. Right? That's the genius of being a mad scientist, a racist mad scientist. You're like, let me turn all the people I hate into super soldiers. And that was another ridiculous plot point from this series that boggles the mind anytime you think of it. Also, we get to see Bucky, and this was a nice throwback to early in the series season. It's a 6 episode. There's not even a season. To the mini series. A throwback to Bucky tells the old, and I forget his name, the old Asian man that was the father of the guy he killed, the first name in his book, that he killed his son, and he apologized. Here he is. He was murdered. He didn't have any choice about it. He did it. He was murdered by the Winter Soldier. But life goes on. Bucky gets some closure after this, and apparently him and Falcon are going to become Sam / Captain America become good buddies. And yeah, Sharon does get her pardon. Again, even the act of getting a pardon, they fuck up. The Senate cannot grant a pardon. They have Sharon talking to the senator, and the senator says, we want to offer you a full pardon and maybe even get you a place back in your old division. Are you open to that? And yes, she says, yes, she is. And immediately the senator grants her a pardon and brings her back in as an agent. The president is the only one who can pardon people. The Senate, Congress, even if 100% of the Senate was behind it, they cannot pardon you. This is most basic thing of the Constitution. You should have learned this, 6 to 12 times between 1st and 12th grade. Only the president can do a pardon. Why do you have a senator doing a pardon? I have no idea, but I had to complain about it because this is Civics 101. And that's basically it. And so the GRC, they're basically like, oh, you know what? You guys are right. We've postponed the vote. We're going to do better. There's no answers to how they're going to do better, but that's it. That's how it ends. Basically, we're going to find a way for everybody to get along. I guess they're going to be making bank loans to everybody. I guess they're going to find some way to not have to deal with any of the bullshit, any of the realism that would have actually happened. They're going to just push it all off. First off, I thought Wakanda, at the end of Black Panther, wasn't Wakanda coming out? Wasn't Wakanda going to come out and help the inner cities and help all the poor people? And by poor, the poor black people, they were going to come out and they were going to step up. Wasn't that the end of Black Panther? Where did they go? I don't know. All I know is that this pissed me off. Okay? Yes, Carly was a terrorist. You can call her a terrorist. She killed innocent people. She tried to get political change by scaring people. That is called terrorism. She was killing innocent people to get her political way. That is exactly what a terrorist is by definition. Okay? And he just puts it up there with terrorist, thug. These are just words. No, those words mean something, and she was a terrorist. I like Falcon / new Captain America, but how can he honestly compete without the serum? How can an average human with a fancy, and you say, well, Iron Man could do it, but Iron Man's suit at least covered his entire body. He had the good sense to not leave his big fleshy head completely open to, bullets. How can he really compete as a superhero without any superpowers? I don't get it. He's not Iron Man. He's no Iron Man. If he had an Iron Man type suit, I'd say, okay, now we got to start. But he doesn't. He's got the Falcon type suit, and he's got Cap's shield, and that's really it. It's not believable. It angered me, as you can tell. It angered me more than anything. And I'm going to beg you guys, if you're still watching, and you're one of those people who send me tips and send me links to, what's upcoming in Marvel? What's the new Marvel movie? What's the new Marvel series? What's the new Marvel this? Who's rumors about this? Rumors who's going to play that? Please stop. I don't care about Marvel anymore. This is what it did to me. I don't care. Listen, if they come out with a series, the Loki series, maybe I'll watch it. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I'll see. But I really don't care anymore. So please, unless I bring it up, you can stop sending me stuff about Marvel. I no longer care. That is what this series did. I no longer care. They are so far out of I know it's fantasy, but they are so far beyond fantasy that they've entered the realm of like the original Mary Sue fan fiction. that type of writing. Okay, I don't know which was better written, the original Mary Sue story or the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Overall, granted, this is a much longer piece of fiction, but if you had to condense it down to, a loose leaf page and a half piece of paper, word for word, I think they're about the same in terms of their literary brilliance. I award Falcon, the Falcon, and the Winter Soldier 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. This is Discovery level crap. And there were episodes I liked. There were some episodes I liked. But the series as a whole, 3 out of 10. And I think I'm even being generous. Okay? But the series as a whole, it's a 3 out of 10. If you're Marvel, you gotta watch if you're a Marvel person. But I'd say pass. I'd say pass unless you've got... No, I'd say just pass. Fuck it. I told you what you need to know. That's all you need to know. You don't need to watch it. And I'm sorry I did. I wish I just had ignored it and I could have been watching Mortal Kombat this morning instead of the final episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's sad. Anyway, guys, I don't know if I will get Mortal Kombat review out soon or not. Nephew of Prey's coming over today, so we'll see what happens. Until next time, Qapla. If you liked the video, please see if you're still subscribed. Hit the like, and bird out.